She didn't know she was being set up until her access card stopped working. And that's when the whispers began. Because in a building like this, your badge is your identity, and someone had just erased hers. Claire Bennett stood in the lobby of a glass corporate tower, rain still clinging to her coat. Not storm rain, just that cold, steady kind that makes everything feel heavier than it is. The security gate blinked red again. Denied. She tried once more. Denied. Behind her, a few employees slowed down, not staring, not openly, just watching. A receptionist cleared her throat. A man in a suit pretended to check his phone. A woman near the elevators glanced up and away. Claire swallowed. She had worked too hard to be seen here as anything other than capable. She was a compliance analyst, a quiet one, the kind who doesn't laugh too loud in meetings, doesn't overshare, the kind who catches details and keeps receipts. Because survival taught her a simple rule: if you don't have proof, you don't have protection. Claire adjusted her bag strap and walked toward the front desk. "Excuse me?" she said softly. "My badge isn't working." The receptionist smiled politely, but her eyes tightened. "One moment." She typed, paused, then typed again, and then she looked up. "There's a hold on your access," she said. "A hold?" Claire blinked. The receptionist lowered her voice. "They said you're not allowed on the floor today." Claire's stomach dropped. "Who said?" The receptionist hesitated, like she didn't want her name involved. "Management." Claire stared for a second, trying to understand. She had an audit meeting in 1 hour, a big one, and her team needed her. Claire tried to speak, but the words didn't come out right. "I didn't do anything." The receptionist's smile stayed, but it thinned. "I'm sorry." And that's when Claire felt it. Not fear first. Something colder. Recognition. Someone was moving pieces. Quietly. Deliberately. And if she didn't move faster, the story would be written without her. Claire turned away from the desk. She didn't make a scene, because she knew something about scenes. They don't protect you, they just make you look guilty. She walked outside into the rain again, and made one call. Marcus. He picked up on the second ring. "Claire?" She exhaled slowly. "They locked my badge." Marcus didn't ask why. He asked the only question that mattered. What changed? Claire looked up at the building's glass face. "Yesterday," she said, "I flagged a discrepancy." Marcus went quiet. "What kind?" Claire hesitated. "The kind that makes powerful people nervous. A vendor payment. 6 figures, split across multiple approvals so it wouldn't trigger review." Claire caught it because the timestamps didn't match. Someone approved the payment while they were supposedly in a meeting. And now, her badge was dead. Marcus's voice lowered. "Claire, don't go back inside." Claire swallowed. "They're going to blame me," she said. Marcus didn't deny it. "Then we need to get ahead of it," he said. Proof ahead of the narrative. Claire looked down at her hands. Her fingers were steady, but her chest felt tight. "Where do I start?" she asked. Marcus paused. "Start with what they can't rewrite. Logs." And that word landed like a match. Logs. Claire's mind moved faster. Access logs, door logs, system logs. In a corporate building, everything leaves a trail. Unless someone deletes it. And if someone deletes it, that's a trail too. Claire walked quickly down the sidewalk to the cafe across the street. Warm, quiet, neutral. She chose a corner seat with a view of the lobby doors. Not paranoia, preparation. She opened her laptop, and before she could even log in, her phone buzzed, a message from a coworker. One line. They're saying you stole files. Claire stared at the screen. Her throat tightened. Stole files? She read the message again. Then another came. They found a USB drive in the finance printer room with confidential documents. And guess whose name is on it? Claire's stomach turned because she already knew. They were building the story, and stories spread faster than truth. Claire typed back with one hand. What time? The reply came fast. This morning, before you arrived. Claire looked up toward the tower. Before she arrived. That meant one thing. If the building logs were honest, they would show who actually went inside, unless the logs were already touched. Claire's mind clicked. If this was a setup, it wasn't sloppy. It was designed to look clean, which meant there would be a window, a small one, a mistake. There is always a mistake, because even the most careful people get arrogant. Claire's phone buzzed again. Another message, from a number she didn't recognize. Stop pushing, Claire. You don't want this. Her blood went cold, not because of the threat, because it confirmed everything. Claire stared at the screen. Then she did something most people don't. She didn't reply. She screenshot it, and she saved it, because fear is loud, but evidence is louder. Claire took a breath. In 72 hours, the audit results would be delivered. In 72 hours, she would either be cleared or permanently branded as the woman who betrayed compliance. The clock was already running. Claire called Marcus again. I'm being framed, she said. Marcus's voice stayed calm. Then we treat it like a case, he said. Who benefits? Claire's mind flashed through faces. The CFO, too obvious. The vendor manager, too small. Then she thought of someone else. Nina. Nina was the compliance director. Charming, polished, always smiling. The kind of woman who made you feel safe, right before she controlled the room. Nina had been supportive of Claire. Publicly. Privately, she had been careful. Too careful. Because Nina knew Claire had a weakness. Claire didn't play politics, she played truth. And truth is dangerous to political people, Claire whispered. Nina. Marcus didn't react, just asked. What do you have? Claire swallowed. Not enough yet. Marcus paused. Then we build it. Step 1. We get the logs before they disappear. Claire's eyes moved to the building across the street. The problem was, she didn't have access. Her badge was dead. Claire looked down at her laptop. Then she remembered something. There was one system that didn't care about her badge. The vendor portal. External access. Claire logged into the vendor portal with her personal authentication, and her heart thudded. She was still in, because whoever framed her didn't think she had another door. Claire navigated carefully. Invoice history, approval chain, timestamps, and there it was. The payment, 6 figures, split. And the approvals didn't match the meeting schedule. Claire's hands stayed steady, but her thoughts sharpened. She exported the approval history. Then she paused. Because something changed on the screen. A refresh. A delay. A new message appeared. Access error. Then, locked. Her account kicked out. Claire stared. They noticed. They were watching. And now they were closing doors. But she already had what she came for. Or so she thought. Because as she reviewed the export, one key field was missing, the user ID. Just names. Names can be disputed. Names can be blamed. But user IDs are the fingerprint. Claire's breath caught. They sanitized it. Not fully, but enough. A micro cover-up. And that meant the real logs were internal. Badge logs. Door logs. System access logs. The ones she couldn't reach without help. Claire looked up. Across the street, employees kept walking in. Badges blinking green. Denied. Wasn't about security. It was about isolation. Claire needed someone inside. Someone small enough not to trigger suspicion. Someone ordinary. That's when she remembered. Eleanor. Not the hospital security this time. A different Eleanor. The building's night security supervisor. Older. Quiet. Always professional. Claire had helped her once. A minor incident. A report that protected Eleanor from being blamed. Claire had done it because it was right. Now, she needed that kindness back. Claire walked toward the service entrance. Not the front. The side door where staff breaks happen. She waited under the awning, rain tapping softly on the metal. 10 minutes. Then Eleanor appeared. Uniform. Coffee cup. She stopped when she saw Claire. "Honey," she said quietly. "What happened?" Claire didn't rush the words. "Because panic makes people defensive. They locked my badge," Claire said. "They're saying I stole files." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "That doesn't feel right." Claire swallowed. "I need the logs," she said. "Badge and door logs for this morning." Eleanor's face changed. Not fear, caution. "Those logs are controlled." Claire nodded slowly. "I know." Eleanor lowered her voice. "They told us not to talk to you." Claire's stomach tightened. So it was coordinated. Claire breathed out. "Eleanor, I'm not asking you to break rules. I'm asking you to stop them from burying the truth." Eleanor looked away, then back. And for a second, you could see the conflict, because people in the middle get crushed first. Eleanor's mouth tightened. "If I pull logs, they'll know." Claire nodded. "Then we do it safely." Eleanor hesitated, then spoke. "There's a gap," she said quietly. "A blind spot." Claire blinked. "What?" Eleanor glanced around. Between 6:12 and 6:19 this morning, someone accessed the log server. Claire's blood chilled. Accessed the server, before the accusations started. Eleanor continued. "That's not normal. We don't do maintenance at that hour." Claire held her breath. "So someone edited logs." Eleanor nodded once, but they didn't delete everything. They just rearranged. Claire's mind moved fast. So the real record still exists. Somewhere. Eleanor lowered her voice again. "There's a backup, automatic, stored off-site, but only IT can request it." Claire swallowed. "It." Marcus would like that word, because IT leaves trails, tickets, approvals, names. Claire looked at Eleanor. "Can you tell me one thing?" she asked. "Who was on duty at the security desk at 6:12? Eleanor's eyes hardened. "A temp. Assigned last minute." Claire's stomach dropped. "Last-minute temps don't happen by accident," Eleanor added quietly. "And the person who approved that temp was Nina." Claire's chest tightened. There it was. Not proof yet, but a pattern. Claire thanked Eleanor softly, and as she walked back toward the cafe, her phone buzzed. A new message. "You're making this worse." Claire didn't reply. She screenshot it too. Because threats are confessions without signatures. Back at the cafe, Marcus called her. "Claire, I pulled something." Claire leaned forward. "What?" Marcus's voice was low. "They filed an internal complaint. They're calling you a security risk." Claire's stomach sank. Marcus continued, "And they scheduled a meeting. Today. At 4 p.m. Claire blinked. "Today?" Marcus's tone sharpened slightly. "They're going to fire you fast, before you can fight, before the audit, before the truth." Claire felt the rain cold in her bones. So this was the plan. Accelerate. Destroy. "Move on," Claire whispered. "I need the backup logs." Marcus paused, then said, "Then we force their hand." "How?" Marcus's voice stayed steady. "You have one thing they hate, a paper trail. We're going to make them afraid of discovery. Claire swallowed. Marcus continued. File a preservation notice. Right now. Claire breathed out slowly. A legal notice to preserve evidence, meaning, if they delete logs after that, it becomes its own crime. Claire nodded. Do it. Marcus did. Within an hour, the company received the preservation notice, and suddenly, the building felt different. Because powerful people don't fear accusations, they fear documentation. Claire watched the lobby doors from the cafe, and she saw it. 2 men in IT badges walking fast, not normal pace, urgent. And that's when Claire knew they were rushing to clean, which meant she had limited time. Claire called Eleanor again. They're moving, Claire said. Eleanor exhaled. I know. They just asked for the backup. Claire's eyes widened. Who asked? Eleanor's voice was tight. Nina. Claire's heart thudded, so Nina was trying to control the backup too. Claire's thoughts sharpened. If Nina controls the backup request, she can delay it. Or lose it. Claire needed a second route. A route Nina didn't anticipate. Claire opened her laptop and did the one thing compliance people do best. She looked for process. Every backup request becomes a ticket. Every ticket has an ID. Every ID has a timeline. Claire searched her emails. Old IT tickets. Template language. Then she found it. The backup system copied ticket summaries to a shared mailbox for audit purposes. Audit purposes. That was her door. Claire logged in with her audit mailbox access, and there it was, a new ticket entry. Backup request, security logs, urgent, time-stamped, and the requester name was Nina. Claire's fingers stayed steady. She opened it. The summary was short, but the attachment metadata showed something. A file name, a backup bundle, created at 6:21, right after the suspicious access. So, the backup existed. Claire's breath caught, but she still needed the contents. Claire saw a button. View preview. It loaded. Slowly. And then, it froze. Access denied. Nina tightened permissions. Claire's heart pounded. They were fast, but Claire had something they didn't. Experience. She didn't need to open the file fully. She needed proof that the file existed and that it was locked, because locking evidence after a preservation notice looks bad in court. Claire grabbed her phone and started a screen recording. She recorded the ticket ID, the requester, the timestamp, the backup file name. Then she clicked preview again. Access denied. Clear. Visible. No text to read aloud, just the system behavior. Claire ended the recording, and she sent it to Marcus immediately. Marcus replied with one sentence. Perfect. Now we pressure them publicly, without going public. At 4 p.m., Claire returned to the building, not through the front, through a visitor entrance. Marcus walked beside her. Calm, controlled, not a savior, a shield. In the conference room, Nina sat at the head of the table. Polished smile, concerned eyes. Claire, Nina said softly, we're worried about you. Claire didn't react, because worry from people like Nina is a weapon wearing perfume. A HR representative spoke. There has been an incident, a security concern. A USB drive was found. Claire listened, not flinching, because this was a performance, and she was the villain in their script. Nina leaned forward. If you cooperate, Nina said, we can handle this discreetly. Claire's eyes stayed on Nina. Discreetly, the word that means quietly bury her. Claire spoke calmly. I want the badge logs for this morning, she said. HR blinked. Those are internal. Claire nodded. I also want the door logs and the server access record between 6:12 and 6:19. Nina's smile didn't change, but her eyes did. A flicker, A tiny tightening. Claire continued. And I want the backup you requested at 6:21. Silence. HR looked confused. Nina smiled. Claire, you don't have access to that. Claire nodded once. I know. That's why it's interesting that it was locked after a preservation notice. Nina's smile thinned. Marcus spoke for the first time. We have a screen recording of the ticket, he said. Time-stamped. And a copy of the preservation notice delivery. HR's face changed. Not anger. Fear. Because fear isn't moral, it's procedural. Fear is liability. Nina kept her composure. This is unnecessary, she said. Claire leaned forward slightly. Then release the logs, she said. Nina didn't answer, and that was her answer. Marcus slid a folder forward. Request for immediate disclosure. And then he added quietly, if evidence was altered, we will escalate. Nina's gaze hardened. Claire felt her heartbeat, but she didn't move, because she wasn't begging anymore. She was documenting. Hours later, the company released the logs, not voluntarily, reluctantly. The badge logs showed it clearly. Someone entered the finance printer room at 6:07. Not Claire. A temp badge, issued that morning, approved by Nina. The door logs confirmed it. Then the system logs showed a login to the security server at 6:12. Not Claire. A privileged account. And the user ID belonged to Nina. Claire stared at the record. It was clinical. No emotion. Just truth. Marcus exhaled. She edited the logs, he said. She tried to rewrite reality. Claire swallowed, and she planted the USB. Marcus nodded. Then he pointed at the last piece. A camera still existed too. Not CCTV for the gala, but a hallway camera outside the printer room. It showed a figure. Blurry. But the badge lanyard was visible. And the shape of the hair. Nina. That was the moment. Not because Claire won, because the lie collapsed under weight. The next morning, the company held an internal briefing. No speeches, no apologies, just decisions. Nina was terminated. The temp badge program was investigated. The vendor payment was frozen. And Claire was asked to return to her role. Like nothing happened. But nothing could go back. Because Claire had learned something. Systems don't protect people. People protect people. If they choose to. Later, Marcus met her for coffee. Not to celebrate, to breathe. Claire stared into her cup. You know what hurts the most? She asked quietly. Marcus waited. That they were going to erase me. And keep smiling. Marcus nodded once. That's what control does. Claire looked up. And for the first time in days, her chest felt lighter. Not because the world got kinder, but because she proved she couldn't be rewritten. Their connection didn't become romance in a single scene. It became something slower. Respect, trust, a calm kind of protection, earned. And if you're listening right now, remember this. People can accuse you loudly, but systems keep quiet records, and the truth is patient. If you believe justice always unfolds, you already know what to comment.